Hello there, good morning and welcome to this, the WP Builds weekly WordPress newsletter. This is number 89. It covers the WordPress news for the week commencing the 11th of November 2019 and it was published on Monday the 18th of November 2019. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and if you're not already in the Black Friday spirit, it's not too far away now, and I would encourage you to go to wpbuilds.com/black. That's wpbuilds.com/black, because over there I have created a growing list of plugins and themes that all have coupon codes for Black Friday. So it's filterable and searchable. You can go and see whatever it is that you would like to find, see if it's there. If not, and you are a plugin and theme developer, please click one of the blue buttons, which enables me to find out about missing details of plugins that you may have, that you may want to feature on that page. Also, there are some slots at the top if you would like to have your plugin or theme listed right at the very top. Do fill out the form, click the yellow button on that page, and you'll be able to get into contact with me. And it's hotting up already. Quite a few of the offers are already go, but a few are obviously still around the corner. So once again, that's wpbuilds.com/black. And go and check it out for all of your Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff. Please feel free to share it. There are some share icons at the very top. And it would be great. It really does. I'm using some affiliate links on those pages, and it really does help to enable me to keep doing these podcasts. That's, very, very helpful indeed. The other page to mention, I suppose, is wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Over there, you're going to be able to join us, join our Facebook group, subscribe to one of our two newsletters. The one that I think really you should be subscribing to at this time of year, there's obviously the normal one, the grey one on that page will tell you about podcast updates and so on. So the podcast that we do on a Thursday and the news that you're listening to now. But the blue one on that page will get you onto our deals email, and I'm going to be sending out, as Black Friday hots up, many emails just letting you know when the deals are dropping so that you can go and check them out for yourself. Plain text email, really easy to read. The title will tell you whether you even need to open it and so on. On that page also, subscribe on your favourite podcast player. Please head over to iTunes and give us a nice review. That's always very helpful. Join our Facebook group of over 2,300 WordPressers and many more links on that page, but I won't dwell on that anymore. The only other link that I want to mention before we start the news is wpbuilds.com/advertise if you would like to get your product or service in front of a specific WordPress audience, a bit like these guys have done. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by Kinster. Are you tired of unreliable or slow hosting? If so, check out Kinster, who takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. It's powered by the Google Cloud Platform, and all their plans include PHP 7, SSH, and 24/7 expert support. And you can migrate today for free at kinster.com. And Page Builder Cloud. Work faster with your page builder of choice by reusing your cloud-safe templates. Import and export any layout to any of your WordPress websites. Page Builder Cloud works with Elementor, Beaver Builder, Breezy, Gutenberg, and many more. And you can get a free trial up and running today at pagebuildercloud.com. And we do thank our sponsors for helping us put on the WP Builds podcast. Okay, let's crack on with this week's WordPress news. Our WordPress news is always divided up into different sections, and if there is any, which there usually is, we have WordPress Core as our first section. Good bit of news this week. WordPress 5.3 has rolled around. WordPress 5.2, the previous release, was downloaded some 84 million times. What a gigantic number that is. And so 5.3, which is entitled Kirk, after the American jazz musician Rahsaan Roland Kirk, is now available to download. I'm sure that by now many of you have experienced some of the slightly different UI things going on in 5.3. Anyway, if you haven't, go and get it updated. I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a moment. So far, all of the sites that I've updated it to have had zero problems, and I've not heard of anybody having problems at all. 645 people contributed to this project from 5.2 to 5.3. Matt Mullenweg was the lead, along with Francesca Morano and David Baumwold. I suppose some of the things to mention are that we have a new WordPress theme. It's 2020. It's forked from the Chaplin theme by Anders Norrin, and by all accounts it's getting very well received. The article that I'm linking to is on the WP Tavern website. It's entitled WordPress 5.3 Kirk Released, Brings New Default Theme, Editor Improvements and UI Tweaks. And it really just mentions all of those things. Like I said, we've got the new default theme. The PHP native JSON extension is now required for any WordPress sites running 5.3 or later. This really shouldn't be a problem, as this has been bundled with PHP since I think 2006, something like that. But if you try to update and you get an error message because for some reason that isn't part of your hosting package, then in the first instance you'll need to contact your host, but also you won't be able to update to 5.3, so that might be something to look out for. We've also got this thing which came as a bit of a surprise apparently to some people. I'd mentioned it on the news, but it is interesting. The large image handling has now been changed in WordPress. Now if you throw an image into the media gallery or the media area, then if it's over 2,560 pixels, then it's going to be scaled down, and that 2,560 size will become the full size image. Now there is a plugin, it's called Disable Big Image Threshold plugin. And if you really need to switch this off, then you can get that plugin and disable it. For example, if you had a photography website and you needed the raw massive images. But I think in most cases this is a fairly sensible default. That's pretty darn big. Also, you will almost immediately experience the need to validate your admin email. So you're going to have to do this every 6 months from now on. And I think it's a good security feature. It's just basically trying to help people who've got websites make sure that email address is up to date, so that people don't fall off the web, and you know that the admin email is the correct one. And there's a bunch of developer changes, full support for PHP 7.4. We've had improved date time handling. Robots meta tag now used for discouraging search engines, new meta key comparison operators, and several more things as well. If you click on the other link that I've got, which is entitled WordPress 5.3 Field Guide, well, you'll actually be taken to a WP Shout article, which then links out to an article on the make.wordpress.org where Jeffrey Paul goes through the WordPress 5.3 field guide, and he lists everything in much more detail than on the WP Tavern. So if this really interests you, I would first of all have a look at the WP Tavern article and then maybe click on the WordPress 5.3 field guide. Anyway, significant moment, I suppose, for WordPress. At any point release like this is cause for inspection, checking out what's happened, and some of the UI tweaks I rather like. I know they're not to everybody's taste, but go and get it updated for sure. The next section is always entitled Community, and I've got 3 articles for you today. The first one is all about WP and Up, which I'm fairly closely connected to. I don't know if you know, but I do a podcast called the Press Forward podcast for WP and Up. Well, this week, WP Mayor has an article entitled Mental Health and Wellbeing in the WordPress Community, and Alex from WP and Up has written a nice article basically explaining what WP and Up is all about, what projects we've got going on, how we can support you, and so on. You may know that we're doing this long bike ride from Berlin to Portugal next year, but we've also got a campaign which has been running called the Never Give Up campaign. And essentially, if you need some help and you're in the WordPress community, that could be help with your mental health or physical health, perhaps something in your business, then WP and Up is here to give you that help for free. But obviously, we need to make sure that WP and Up has some finances, and so there are ways at the bottom of the page where you can find out how you can assist. It might be offering your time, or it might be offering some donation of cash. But anyway, maybe go and check that out, or maybe go and point somebody that you think might benefit from WP and Up support. Go and point them in the direction of the wpandup.org website. The next article is over on WP Tavern. It's entitled WordCamp US 2020 Date and Location Announced, New Weekday Schedule. Now, this is quite interesting, actually. WordCamp US just took place. It was in St. Louis, and as is traditionally the case, the event takes place for 2 years running in the same city. So it's going to be in St. Louis again. Now, this time it's going to be on the 27th through the 29th of October. All seems normal so far, except when you find out that those days are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So usually WordCamps have been taking place over the weekend. Some of the days are on the weekend, but not this time around. It's been decided to do it this way. The response is really interesting, and I This article by Justin Tadlock in the WP Tavern mentions the fact that this might very well be better for people who are going, let's say they're going for their company, they're representing their company because their company can pay. It's jolly hard, I suppose, if you've got to come back from WordCamp and you arrive late home on a Sunday and you've got to turn up for work the following day, the Monday. So this may mitigate that problem. Of course, those people who don't really use WordPress, let's say as a full-time thing, and they're just going because they enjoy attending WordCamps and they get a benefit out of it, they might find it much more difficult to attend because they simply cannot take the time off work. I actually put a poll in the WP Builds Facebook group to see what people's reaction was to this, and it was interesting because I kind of wrongly assumed that it would be received badly. People wouldn't like this new change, and in fact the vast majority of people who voted, 28 or so, said that they preferred this. They thought it would be better because they could then treat their WordPress work as work. So yeah, really interesting. But if you're going, then now you know the dates. It's going to be October the 27th through the 29th next year during the week. If you're a user of WooCommerce, then you may know about WooSesh, which is an online virtual conference which takes place, and it has just taken place. And there's an article over at woocommerce.com entitled Key Takeaways from WooSesh 2019. And in it, you can find out about all of the things that went on in that conference. It sounds really interesting. I must confess, I don't really use e-commerce too much, but it seems to be a very significant area for WordPress because according to this, we now have over 1 million stores using WordPress. And the metric that they've used for that is the store must have sold at least one item for it to be considered to be, in this group of 1 million. During the time that those stores have been up and running, they've generated $11.8 billion worth of sales, which is a fantastically large amount. But the conference didn't just talk about those. It wasn't just self-congratulatory. There were some educational things as well. So, for example, there was a track about how to build a block, how augmented reality can be used, all about the possibilities for sending emails, how to make your store faster, how you can adapt any business. And so there's some videos on this post. My guess is that more of these videos will come along during the next month or so as they are created, but there's 3 or 4 on that webpage already, and you might like to go and check them out if you're a WooCommerce user. The next section that we always do is all about plugins and themes, and there's plenty of plugin and theme news this week. And I thought I'd start off with iThemes' take on the new 2020 theme. It's over on the iThemes.com website. It's called First Look at the New 2020 WordPress Theme. We did mention this a minute ago, based upon Chaplin by Anders Norren. And so what they're doing over at iThemes is essentially just breaking it down, showing you what the theme looks like, how it works, what the customizer options are, and so on. I always kind of like to do this with themes before I go installing them. If I can find some kind of tutorial or somebody who's dissected it and shown me how it all works, then all for the better. And so that's what this post does. It shows you a nice long image at the very start about typically what your layout may look like. And then it delves into what actually is going on with the theme, how the theme is really supporting the block editor. They're basically saying that, it's probably pushing the boundaries a little bit. It's taking full advantage of the flexibility of the block editor and using that. And one of the things that they mention is that the in-page and post previews are really kind of more or less exactly what it'll look like on the front end. So less requirement to go over and click the preview button. If you, for example, change a font color, it will update inside the block editor itself, and so that's quite nice. And then they go on to explain what the customizer options actually are, and there's a healthy amount of them. It's things like background colors, headers and footers, template options and background images and all of those kind of things. Talk about the different templates that are available. There's default template, cover template, full width template, and then go on to explore the different block styles that you can adopt, which are already shipping with the theme. It's a nice, easy to read article, heavily loaded with lots of imagery, which make it really easy to understand. So yeah, that's good. Maybe you're a user of bbPress, which is a plugin which has been going for a long time now. My understanding is that it was released initially by Matt Mullenweg. I think it was in 2004. And we've got an article entitled bbPress 2.6 released after 6 years, includes per forum moderation and engagements API. So this is on WP Tavern, and basically it's an article about the fact that it has been released. 6 years is a long time in the making, and John James Jacoby, who is largely responsible now for keeping this project going, has released an article entitled Better Great Than Never, which I think is a fabulous play on words, in which he outlines what's been going on. Essentially, they don't have many people volunteering on the project and very little user feedback, so he didn't really know what needed to be fixed. Plus, he'd taken on a job, I think, working with Pippin Williamson, so little time as well. But he has decided he's going to contribute some of the time, and he got it out just last week. And incredibly, bbPress is currently installed on over 300,000 sites. Now, the fact that there was very little engagement helping to get this updated and so on kind of makes you think maybe the era of the forum has died. You know, people are doing things in Facebook groups and on Slack much more than they were on forums. 10 years ago, forums were all the rage, but maybe these things are sort of dying. But those numbers, 300,000 active installs, maybe give a different perspective. Anyway, there are some new features. The new engagements API connects user IDs to the various types of content in bbPress, so it's no longer held in the user metadata table, which I'm guessing is going to speed things up. And there's various other things as well. 420 open tickets with 1,737 code commits took place during that 6 years. And yeah, if you're into making forums, maybe this is back on the top of your list again. Back on the WP Tavern website, we have an article entitled Recurring Payments Feature Launches for WordPress.com and Jetpack Users. So, yes, exactly that. This has been mooted, I think, for probably a year or so, and we've now finally got it. The way this works, if you are a Jetpack user on .org or you're a WordPress.com user, you can now get this working. It integrates with Stripe, which obviously I think most people are familiar with. So do be aware that if you want to get this going, you will be paying Stripe fees, which are 2.9% plus 30 US cents each time a payment is collected. And also you'll be paying a tiered amount of money to WordPress.com depending on the plan that you've got. So for example, if you're on the personal plan, you're going to be paying an additional 8% per sale to WordPress. If you're on the premium, 4%. If you're on business, 2%. If you're on the eCommerce tier, then there is no fee. So depending on what you're paying, you might be paying up to 11% towards WordPress. And fees to Stripe. But I suppose, you know, if you want to have all of the support for that taken care of, then I guess maybe that's something you want to take into account. The options are pretty minimal. It comes with a recurring payments block in which you can select your currency, select the price, you can describe your subscription in just a few words, and you can also update the renewal interval like monthly or yearly and so on. So this is an option if you want to take recurring payments and you don't have another way of doing it. Then you can do it now with WordPress.com and Jetpack. I would add that there are literally probably dozens, maybe even hundreds of alternative ways of doing this, and they are certainly going to be much more affordable. But if you like the support being taken care of, maybe this is the way to go. Okay, we mentioned WooCommerce a little while ago, and we're back now on the WooCommerce.com website for an article entitled Add Powerful New Blocks with WooCommerce 3.8. Apparently this is going to be the last minor release during the 2019 release cycle. It should be fully compatible with anything in the 3.x category of WooCommerce releases, so it should be backwards compatible. So the major takeaway here is WooCommerce blocks 2.4. So we've got the reviews block, which allows you to obviously kind of add reviews. You can do product rating. You can add an image. You can do stars and all of that kind of stuff. Looks really nice. And also you can now embed a search option with a product search, which is also a block. There's some upcoming performance improvements and enhancements as well, but essentially it's all about the block. So there's some nice new blocks. So if you're using WooCommerce, get yourself updated to 3.8 and make use of those features. I was mentioning before that WordPress 5.3 has come out and how few people were experiencing problems. Well, WP Offload Media, which is on the deliciousbrains.com website, there's an article entitled WP Offload Media 2.3 released, WordPress 5.3 support and more. Turns out these guys had a real problem on their hands with the advent of WordPress 5.3 because of the scaling of very large images. Their plugin previously relied upon certain conventions when you uploaded images and had them scaled. It relied on certain naming conventions to spot when things had been changed and when things hadn't been changed, and trying to find the original file was fairly easy just by kind of removing bits that were appended to the end of a file name. Well, it turns out that WordPress 5.3, as it's uploading images and scaling them, calls a function called WP update attachment metadata multiple times, which was causing their plugin to essentially break and not be able to recognize when the media had been successfully scaled and rotated. Anyway, this article is fascinating, actually. It's a really interesting read, how they got around solving that problem. They also mentioned the fact that you really do need to kind of update the plugin and do all of that before you update to 5.3. So if you're using WP Offload Media and you are thinking about WordPress 5.3 updates, maybe just go and check this article out, see how they did it, see what the problems could be, because you obviously don't want problems uploading media in the future. Quite an interesting article over on WP Mayor today as well, called Prodigy Commerce Review, a hosted WordPress e-commerce plugin. I'm just going to highlight the main things here. There is a new WordPress e-commerce solution called Prodigy, and unlike something like WooCommerce where you host everything yourself, this has a hybrid approach where shoppers do all of the browsing. You upload the products and what have you into your WordPress website, but the checkout is the part which takes place on the Prodigy Commerce servers. So it's quite an interesting approach. I mean, you can do all of the normal stuff. There's payment gateway integration, shipping calculations, tax, and all of that kind of stuff. But the actual cart, the bit that I suppose in a way you've got to be most concerned about because people's credit card details are flying around and what have you, all of that is taken care of on their servers. It's completely free. You'll still pay the regular Stripe transaction, so 2.9% plus 30 cents. And there's a flat $10 a month fee, which you pay to Prodigy Commerce. So quite an interesting approach. As I said earlier, I don't really do e-commerce, so I'm just mentioning it so that those of you that do might like to have a look. It looks interesting, to say the least. Just very, very quickly, a few weeks ago, there was a product which was on lifetime deal. It was Fluent Forms, and I know that quite a few people in our community bought it. I just found on I can't read the URL because it's too long, but essentially if you click in the show notes, there's an online way of generating the CSS to make the forms look pretty. It's not that they don't look pretty, they just don't look tremendously pretty out of the box, and learning the CSS for all of those different selectors and areas might be a bit cumbersome, so somebody's made the effort of putting a form styler up there, so I thought I'd throw this in the news for you. We always do a section called Deals of the Week around this time, and usually there's a few deals, but today I'm only going to draw attention to the one, and that is the WP Builds Black Friday deals page. It's over at wpbuilds.com/black. A growing list, as I said earlier, of searchable and filterable product deals. If you use those links, it does help the WP Builds podcast, so certainly do appreciate anybody who feels able to do that. Also, I would say that if you click the little blue button at the top, there are two buttons, and one of them will reveal a form where you can fill out to be alerted about the deals as and when they come up. So that's my recommendation for this week for the deals. Go to the WP Builds Black Friday deals page at wpbuilds.com/black. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We take a very light touch on the WordPress security news, but I'm going to mention three things that I found this week. If you're using a plugin called Email Subscribers and Newsletters, you might want to go and check out the WordFence article entitled Multiple Vulnerabilities Patched in Email Subscribers and Newsletters. Check that out. And then we've also got on the iThemes website, we've got their Security Vulnerability Roundup for November, Part 1. And the reason I'm recommending this is you can just scroll through and look at the icons and the thumbnails for the particular plugins and work out whether or not any of those are affecting you. And last, we've got the article entitled Security News in WordPress 5.3, which is on the blog.wpsec.com website. And trusted CA bundles update, and there's something about secure O embeds as well. So go and check those ones out. The enormously self-promotional WP Builds bit. I did a podcast this week. I really would urge you to check this one out. It was with a lady called Heather Burns. It's entitled Because Online Privacy Matters, We Need People Like Heather Burns. And I had a long conversation with Heather, who is a privacy advocate and is really very experienced. She's very eloquent. She treats the matter with the importance I think it deserves. And we talk about what is internet security? How does WordPress take care of it? What is the WordPress community doing? Are we doing enough? Is the CMS strong enough? Are there efforts that we can make to make it better? And it's just a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I strongly urge you to go and check that out. And also, I'd like to tell you about something that I'm doing on Monday the 18th of November. So if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, Jim Galliano, who's a friend of the podcast, is coming on and doing a live webinar with me. Actually, it's in the Facebook group. If you click on the link, you'll find it. And it's all about his new course. He's got a new course coming out called A Solopreneur's Guide to Starting, Building and Marketing a Successful Digital Agency. And he just wanted to hook up with me so that together we could explore what the course was about and whether or not that was something that you might be interested in having a look at. I really like Jim's content. He's got a fabulous podcast. And so, yeah, come and check it out. But I'll make a video available after the fact as well. Okay, I've got no jobs for you in the jobs section this week, so we'll press right on and say that the WordPress news itself is finished. Let's get on with the very last section, which we call Not WordPress But Useful Anyway. This first one, it's far too long for me to explain anything about it, but what I would say is it's just a smashing read, excuse me the pun, because it's on the smashingmagazine.com website. It's called What Newspapers Can Teach Us About Web Design. It's a really interesting article about exactly what the similarities and differences are between old-fashioned print media and, for example, newspapers and magazines and what have you, and web page design, and what we can learn from the way that print media is done. So go and check that out. I can't really explain all of the bits and pieces. The other one, though, is on the Verge.com website entitled Google Plans to Give Slow Websites a New Badge of Shame in Chrome. This is fascinating. So Google are toying with the idea of giving websites which load slowly some kind of moniker, some kind of way of being shown in the browser that this is going to be a slow loading site. I guess they're trying to encourage people to upgrade their servers or take the load of their site, the performance metrics of their site more keenly. I don't know, in all honesty, whether if I saw that I would feel inclined to sort of walk away or what, but it's an interesting move. No doubt it will prompt people to push a little bit harder to make their sites quicker. But nevertheless, I don't know what we all think about that. It seems like Google has taken it upon themselves to decide what's a good website or not. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I spend quite a lot of time each week inside the Chrome Inspector checking things out, and there are some things that I'm quite good at doing and other things that I'm terrible at doing, and one of them is looking at things like waterfall charts and things like that. So that's why I'm giving you this article today. On the talkmag.io website, we have an article entitled What is a Waterfall Chart and How Do You Read It? And very simply, that's what the article explains. It goes on to explain what one is and how you read it, how you can identify all of the different problems that you've got, and isolate where the problems might lie. It's not enormous. It'll probably take you about 10 minutes to read, but it's a bit nerdy, but that kind of thing might interest some of you, I guess. Staying on the TalkMag.io website, they've got another article entitled Everything You Need to Know to Prepare for PHP 7.4. You probably know that 7.4 is coming around. It'll be not too long into the future. And over on this article, Tom Rankin explains all of the differences, the new features and updates, arrow functions, typed properties, preloading, and also talks about the things that have been deprecated or completely removed, and how you would migrate successfully to PHP 7.4. So yeah, really, really, really interesting article, especially if you are running your own servers. It seems like Google's getting a bit militant this week. Over on The Verge, we have an article entitled YouTube Says It Has No Obligation to Host Anyone's Videos. So we just heard about them deciding to tell us whether, sites are loading slowly or not. And now they're basically saying that they no longer, if they don't feel that there is a financial benefit to having your videos, they now no longer need to keep them going. Now, I don't know what we feel about this. It's almost has become to the point where YouTube feels a bit like like how can I put it, like a human right. In other words, you upload something to YouTube and you expect it to be there forever, and it will always be there, and that's your right. Well, Google have changed their wording of their policies to say that in the future that may not be the case. Now, my guess is that this is just simply them having the opportunity to take content down for a variety of reasons. One being, let's say, for example, that somebody's uploading literally dozens and dozens of gigantic videos every day. Well, they've got to keep that on their infrastructure, and it may be that in the future they're going to say, nope, we're just simply not going to do that anymore. Make of it what you will. I don't know how this is all going to pan out, but certainly if you're making content, you're relying on YouTube, you might want to get the lowdown on this. A product that I've never used, but I understand to be very good, and I certainly met people who've used it, is Basecamp. Well, it's always been talked about that it's brilliant, but it's also very expensive. Well, rejoice. This week we have an article from Jason Fried, who is behind Basecamp, announcing the Basecamp Personal Edition, which is going to be completely free. It says, today we're formally announcing Basecamp Personal, a completely free Basecamp plan designed specifically for freelancers, students, families, and personal projects. And obviously, it's going to be hobbled in many regards. So, for example, it includes 3 projects only. You can have 20 users and a gigabyte of storage. And so, it's got limitations. But I guess if you simply want to try it out, or you don't have an awful lot requirements beyond that, this might be just for you. Fabulous. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate you being here. The WP Builds news was brought to you today by Kinster. Kinster takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, your site is secured like Fort Knox and runs on speed obsessive architecture. You get access to the latest software and developer tools such as PHP, 7, SSH, and staging environments. And the best part, their expert team of WordPress engineers are available 24/7 if you need help. And you can migrate today for free at kinster.com. And Page Builder Cloud. If you want to dramatically speed up your WordPress website workflow, then check out Page Builder Cloud. It securely saves all your templates to your own cloud, and you can then reuse them on any other website in a matter of seconds. Page Builder Cloud works with Elementor, Beaver Builder, Breezy, Gutenberg, and many more. But it's not just for page builders though. You can save your contact forms and ACF layouts too. Get a free trial up and running today at pagebuildercloud.com. And we thank all of our sponsors for helping put on the WP Builds podcast. Okay, I'm going to reiterate a couple of things, if that's all right with you, just before we part ways. First one is head over to wpbuilds.com/black for all those Black Friday deals, all hosted on one searchable and filterable page. That's wpbuilds.com/black. Also, join us every Monday at 2 p.m. UK time. We do a live version of the WP Builds news. It's nice to have so many people watching and making nice comments. Today I'm going to be joined by Paul Lacey, and I'm going to be joined by Kim Doyle and Shane Riley. So come to that. You can find that at wpbuilds.com/live. Or just head to the WP Builds Facebook group and join us in there. Also, come back next Thursday for another edition of the podcast. But that's it. That's everything I've got for you today. I really, really hope you have a lovely week. So, bye-bye for now.